Welcome to this special bonus episode of the Buckeyes TomOrrow Morning podcast. We're dropping some bonus episodes kind of throughout the week because there is a lot of stuff to talk about as the Buckeyes get ready for their Cotton Bowl game against Missouri on Friday. First special bonus episode we're going to do is just an interview with Denzel Burke. It's just some bits and pieces of the interview we got to do with Denzel Burke on Tuesday this week. And I'm going to apologize in advance. There's a lot of background noise. The setup for the interviews was not great, but he had a ton of really interesting stuff to say. He's a very, very interesting guy. He is honest with you in a way that most players are not. And if a guy is not ready for prime time, he will basically tell you this guy is not ready for prime time. So when he tells you someone is ready for prime time, well, that carries a little more weight than it would with a lot of other guys on the team. So let's talk first of all about wide receiver Carnell Tate, true freshman this year. He's got an interesting opportunity coming up this week because, of course, Julian Fleming in the transfer portal on his way to Nebraska. He is gone. Marvin Harrison not practicing on Tuesday. He has not officially said he's not playing, but you can sort of read between the lines. And if you go back, Marvin Harrison got his chance to really take his first step as a Buckeye in the Rose Bowl when Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson opted out. That was a chance for Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka really to step up. Now, it's potentially going to be Carnell Tate, maybe Brandon Inniss. This question was about Carnell Tate, the opportunity to play. What has Denzel Burke seen from Carnell Tate?
For me, at least, I always thought that Carnell was one of the better receivers on our team, top 3 receivers on our team. He just didn't get an opportunity just because of, older guys and, they've been in the system longer. But the gap between Carnell and the guys that been here, Meg, Marv, and receivers before me is really not that much of a big gap. And a year from now, he's going to be known as
Here's another question about another young wide receiver, and that's Noah Rogers, another true freshman. Really have not seen a lot of him this year. Thought this was really interesting. He's got an interesting way to describe Noah Rogers, and it's one of those things that sounds like an insult, but I guess in this case really isn't. There'll be kind of a quick follow-up question in here as well.
Noah, he's a really good receiver, long strided, very awkward, but that really works to his advantage because the type of receiver he is. He knows how to get open, he has good hands, and
Awkward like a baby gazelle? Or?
Awkward just like the way he just runs because he's just so fast and long. So it's just sometimes it's just like hard and weird like the guard. He's a hell of a receiver.
One of the big conversations around Denzel Burke and a whole lot of other Buckeyes right now is their future. Will they be back for 2024? Are they headed off to the NFL draft? Denzel Burke said he had made up his mind. Would he tell us? No, he would not tell us. He's going to announce that on January 10th, whatever that decision is. He was asked, how does the Michigan thing, not having beaten Michigan the last 3 years, not having won the Big Ten the last 3 years, just sort of the unfinished business element of his career, how does that maybe factor into what his decision is?
Yeah, that's a big factor, especially for me, man. I want to be a top 10 pick, and and not only that, but to have something to show for down the road, to be able to show my kids and my family. When I was at Ohio State, we won something, and that's playing a big factor for me. And when the time comes, you guys will know what I do.
All right, so you probably got to read between the lines there a little bit on which way he may be leaning. Here's another one you can read between the lines on. He's sort of projected in a lot of those draft projection things right now as sort of a late first, early second rounder maybe. There's a big money gap between that and potentially a top 10 pick next year. So how much of a factor is that in his potential decision?
It's a big factor. You said it what it is already, and it's a big factor for me and big factor in my decision. Yeah, I ain't trying to tell you. I will eventually.
So that is a couple sound bites there from Denzel Burke on maybe the end of his Ohio State career. If you're reading between the lines in the way I am, I think you might see Denzel Burke back in scarlet and gray next fall, but we will all find out together on January 10th. But whether that's the end of his career or not, he had a really unusual start to his career as a Buckeye as well. He started game 1, day 1 against Minnesota in the 2021 season. That's very unusual for a Buckeye, and that was sort of a combination of him showing he was ready to do it and there not being a lot of corner depth at that point. So does he think that guys benefit from playing day 1 like he did, or is it maybe sometimes better for guys to be able to take their time, watch a couple veterans for a little bit, and then sort of ramp up into playing time. This was a really interesting and thoughtful answer.
Yeah, honestly, I would just say it's hard. I mean, if you come in and you're really locked in and you're balling and you're outperforming the guys in your position, go ahead. If you take that spot, go ahead and take it. But if you have the opportunity to like sit behind some guys that are really doing their thing, balling on the field, have production, and you're able to sit behind those guys and just watch and pick some of the things that added to your game, I feel like that could benefit you even more than just coming in right away. Because if you look at it from a receiver standpoint, like even Marv, he's watching Garrett, he's watching Chris, he's watching Jackson, and when he had his chance in the Rose Bowl, the last game of the season, he did his thing, and he's really just picking up off the guys that he's watching all year. And if you go to the corner, like if you do that, and you like, especially back then when you retrace to like Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Gary Colley, like Denzel Ward, he wasn't really starting right away, and he came in, he's watching all the guys in front of him, and he was a first-round pick just like the guys before him. So I feel like it benefits you a lot.
One of the great hobbies of beat writers this time of year is asking the veterans about some of the younger guys on the team. This is a great time to sort of take a little bit of a forward look into 2024. What's coming next? Everyone wants to know what's coming next. Well, Jermaine Matthews might be next in that corner room. We'll see if Denzel Burke is back. Davis Igmanosin is back for another year. We'll see what Jordan Hancock does. But man, oh man, Jermaine Matthews has been pretty impressive early on. Here's what Denzel Burke thinks about Jermaine Matthews.
Oh, he's a dog. He's a dog. He's going to be the next up, honestly. He just got to pick up some of the things off the field. But besides that, man, sky's the limit.
Here's another really, really interesting answer from Burke. He was asked about Jeremiah Smith. Who is Jeremiah Smith? Well, he's the number one player in the entire class of 2024, number one wide receiver in the class as well. He is signed with Ohio State. He's coming to be a Buckeye. He is sort of widely perceived as the next great Ohio State wide receiver, or someone who is sort of on track to be the next great Ohio State wide receiver. Here was Denzel Burke when he was asked about Jeremiah Smith. Thought this was a really, really interesting answer.
Especially me, I gotta see bro in person. All that high school stuff is cool, but when you got a elite corner line across your face, let me see what you can do. I heard he's a 5-star, he can move, but let's line up, man. We'll do something, we'll find out.
And finally, you've heard Burke talk a little bit about guys, maybe not being ready to play, not quite being ready to play just yet. What does that mean? He's talked about guys being ready, he's talked about guys maybe not being ready. But as someone who stepped up as a game one starter his true freshman year, what does it mean for a guy to actually be ready to play?
Really just your attitude off the field, like how you interact with people. Not just that, but like when you're on the field, just how intent you are with your routes, how intent you are with practice, how hard you're playing, and and if you're helping other guys get better. And that's when I really know when you can play and you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for the team.
Well, that was just a little bit of the conversation with Denzel Burke. If you want to watch the whole conversation, that is on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. We'll be back with another bonus episode for you a little later on. We'll have more interviews coming up this week as well. So make sure you check us out at BuckeyeHuddle.com and youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle.